Hello fellow introverts and welcome back to the channel. It's nice to see that you survived the solar eclipse. Now, a scientist says he has evidence we live in a simulation, and the second law of infodynamics could prove it. What is infodynamics? Infodynamics is the study of the accumulation of informational constraints during system development. We all know in the 1999 film The Matrix, Thomas Anderson, also known as Neo, discovers a truth to end all truths. The universe is a simulation. While the premise provides fantastic sci-fi fodder, the idea isn't quite as carefully regulated to the fiction section as one might expect. At the University of Portsmouth, a scientist, Melvin Vepsen, who studies the possibility that the universe might indeed be a digital facsimile, leans into the cinematic comparison. In an article published on the website The Conversation of the Past, Vopsen invoked the Wachowski's sci-fi masterpiece, and around the same time he published a book on the subject called Reality Reloaded, a subtle hat tip to the title of the less successful Matrix sequels. While he is just one among many who've contemplated the idea, Vopsen complains to have one thing that those before him lacked. In physics, there are laws that govern everything that happens in the universe. For example, how objects move, how energy flows, and so on. Everything is based on the laws of physics. One of the most powerful laws is the second law of thermodynamics, which establishes that entropy, that is, a measure of disorder, is an isolated system, can only increase or stay the same but never decrease. Based on this famous law, Vopsen similarly expected the entropy in information systems, which his previous research defined as fifth state of matter, should similarly increase over time, but it doesn't. Instead, it remains constant or even decreases to a minimum value at equilibrium. This is a direct contrast to the second laws of thermodynamics, which inspired Vopsen to adopt a second law of information dynamics, or infodynamics. We know the universe is expanding without the loss or gain of heat, which requires the total entropy of the universe to be constant, Vopsen wrote in The Conversation. We also know from thermodynamics that entropy is always rising. I argue this shows that there must be another entropy, information entropy, to balance the increase. Vopsen argues that this law plays a role in atomic physics. The paper explains the behavior of electrons and multi-electron atoms, providing insight into phenomena like Hund's rule, which states that the term with maximum multiplicity lies lowest in energy. Electrons arrange themselves in a way that minimizes their information entropy, shedding light on atomic physics and stability of chemicals. Cosmology. The second law of infodynamics is shown to be a cosmological necessity, with thermodynamic considerations applied to an adiabatically expanding universe supporting its validity. And biological systems. This last one is where Vopsen makes a big claim. Contrary to Charles Darwin's idea of mutations occur randomly, mutations actually occur so that information entropy is minimized. Vopsen analyzed the consistently mutating SARS-CoV-2 virus, and in his paper on the investigation, published this past October, shows a unique correlation between the information and the dynamics of genetic mutations. What this all adds up to, in Vopsen's estimation, is that the second law of infodynamics could also be used to prove that we live in a simulation. Dr. Vopsen, he wanted to put the laws to the test and see if he could further support the simulation hypothesis by moving it on from the philosophical realm to the mainstream science. In his work, The Biological Systems that we mentioned, the second law of infodynamics challenges the conventional understanding of genetic mutations, suggesting that they follow a pattern governed by information entropy. This discovery has profound implications for fields such as genetic research, evolutionary biology, genetic therapies, pharmacology, virology, and pandemic monitoring. Furthermore, he tries to explain symmetry. Symmetry principles play an important role with respect to the law of nature, but until now, there's been little explanation as to why that could be. My findings demonstrate that high symmetry corresponds to the lowest information entropy state, potentially explaining nature's inclination towards it. This approach, where excess information is removed, resembles the process of a computer deleting or compressing waste code to save storage space and optimize power consumption. A super complex universe like ours, if it were a simulation, would require a built-in data optimization and compression in order to reduce the computational power and the data storage requirements to run the simulation. This is exactly what we are observing all around us, including in digital data, biological systems, mathematical symmetries, and the entire universe. Of course, all of these claims require significant further testing and verification before even being considered plausible. There are as many research papers refuting the digital existence as there are promoting its scientific inevitability. It's possible that Vobson's second law of infodynamics could lead to something interesting. But the question first pondered by Plato remains unanswered. Now, this is more prevalent than ever. We've had people claiming we live in a simulation, which is coming more to the forefront. Also, throughout history, many philosophers and scientists have pondered if we were living in a simulated universe. Kind of crazy to think about because it goes back to ancient Greece. Using, and Mr. Vobson here, doctor, maybe, I don't know, using his previously formulated second law of infodynamics, he claims that he can prove in the universe has built-in data optimization and comparison, which is what we know as computation and stuff in the digital landscape. Now, obviously this is all speculation, but I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. I mean, if we live in a simulation, it would really, really suck to have to put all this work in and, man, I want to learn Kung Fu in 5 seconds. And with that, I'll talk to you nerds later.